I am watching what is going on in Syria at the current moment. I'm truly speechless. Jolani had the opportunity, after Assad, to prove to the people that whatever the former regime said about him and about his organization is false, is untrue. He comes to power, he ethnically cleanses Syrian Alawites from the central cities of Homs and Hama. He completely empties entire towns and villages, and he gives their farms to corporations, to investors. He goes after the Syrian Alawites in the coastal cities and commits a genocide against them, and nobody can convince me that it wasn't a genocide, because the intent to commit genocide was present, and we have heard in countless videos of Jolani soldiers and Jolani security forces and militants affiliated to HDS al-Nusra saying clearly that their intention is to commit genocide against the Alawites for being an Alawite. Of course, the so-called Syrian government didn't take any responsibility and said those were the remnants of the Assad regime and we had to do this and that. And they vote accountability if there has been any crime committed in the coastal cities of Syria. So basically, the Al Qaeda regime will investigate itself. Inshallah khair. After that, they have clashed with the Kurds in northeast Syria, and they use the same rhetoric against the Kurdish people. Basically, we will eliminate you, we will do this and that to you, and Kurds are pigs, and the Alawites are pigs, of course, before them, according to the Jolani regime. Minions and the militants. The minions are those so-called journalists who call themselves journalists, and they are embedded with the Al-Qaeda forces and basically doing the propaganda for them. And they are, at some point, you like, if the journalist is saying things like this, then what are the militants doing then on the ground? If someone without a gun says that they will basically liquidate and eliminate an entire race or ethnicity or religion, then can you really imagine what could the militants who believe in the same thing would do? And now they are coming after the Druze. YouTube keeps translating it in the captions as Jews, but it's not Jews. It's Druze. It's another minority group within Islam. Because there was someone in the Druze community that nobody knows who is this person, has posted a video basically insulting Prophet Muhammad, which we are all against it. But then Jolani unleashes his terror army against the entire religious minority, entire Druze community, first in Sahnaya, which is in the suburbs of Damascus, and Jaramana. And now they're talking about invading Al-Suwaida city in the south. And this time they are once again calling them pigs. And you know why they call them pigs? Because in their mind, basically, the pigs are dirty animals and they eat from dirt. So they call the Alawites pigs, the Kurds pigs, and now the Druze pigs. And what do they do to the people who they call pigs? They kill them. And they have taken over a neighborhood called Sahnaya in Damascus and emptied it from the Druze. They have captured many Druze men and women, humiliated them, including clerics and religious figures. They have shaved their mustaches to humiliate them. And now they are talking about invading As-Suwaida. And during this time, Israeli occupation forces bombed the Jolani forces who were in Sahnaya and on the way to commit genocide, basically. And this is the irony of the Syrian war at the current moment. Israel basically supported almost every group in Syria, whether it is al-Nusra, whether it's the so-called rebels, whether it's the Druze, whether it's the Kurds, supported everyone. And now the Druze community inside occupied Palestinian territories or Israel are saying we will not allow our brethren to be killed by Jolani's regime, and we're setting a red line, and there are pilots in the Israeli army, basically. Druze pilots. There is an entire unit, I believe, in the Israeli army by the Druze. And now they're bombing the Jolani forces, and Israel says they will intervene to protect the Druze. The leader, the spiritual leader of the Druze, I think his name is Hekmat Hijri, he called for international intervention to protect the Druze and other minorities. Like Jolani had the opportunity when he came to power to prove himself that Assad is wrong, right, about him. And he could build a state and treat everyone respectfully and equally. But he appointed himself as the leader of basically a gang. And when I see these practices of the Jolani regime, there is no state, there is no army, there is no security forces. There are criminals, thugs, terrorists embedded with the Jolani regime, including multinational terrorists committing all sorts of heinous crimes in every place in Syria. As if Jolani is saying, we don't want federalism, we want Balkanization, because he could have kept the country together and he could have created a federal system with centralized government, and the rest of the regions would be spheres of influence, but it seems he doesn't even want that. So, as if Jolani, or those who brought Jolani to power, they wanted him because he would basically balkanize the country. This could be another conspiracy theory which may turn to be true in the near future. When I'm watching Syria now, I'm heartbroken. All this was anticipated. People used to say that when Assad is gone, Syria will become the Singapore of the Middle East. But do the Singaporean government adopt such policies, discriminate against its own people, wage genocidal wars against religious and ethnic minorities? And I also kept hearing that once Assad is gone, then we will have a Dubai, we will build a Dubai in Syria. Do the people in the Emirates treat each other like this? Let's take for an argument's sake, do the Emiratis treat the non-Emiratis, which are majority now in the Emirates, as pigs and kuffars, basically infidels, and they kill them? No, because it is based and built on tolerance. But these people are, they're so far away from tolerance, man. I don't hesitate to call them terrorists. I'm very heartbroken, and I've been thinking about it for quite some time, that what should I do with this situation? It's really a worst case scenario, right, in Syria at the current moment. For 14 years, I've been arguing that this regime change war is initiated and engineered by the CIA, by other secret intelligence agencies in the region, such as the Israeli, Turkish, Qatari, Saudi, etc., in order to bring an end to the Syrian nationhood and divide the country basically into vertical lines and balkanize it, create mini states, etc. So this was my warning, right, for a long time, because I wanted for everyone to be in one nation under one constitution and treated equally. Now, the best case scenario is federalism, which I was arguing against, right, in the last 14 years. And I said, we don't need federalism. Federalism would be great if it's between already divided countries like Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, etc., but not within one country. Now, the best case scenario is federalism, but Jolani, it seems that he doesn't even want federalism, he wants Balkanization. This is my impression. So I've been receiving offers from friends, colleagues in Europe, especially. They are forming political bodies and they need people who have expertise in politics and in media, and they are inviting me basically to conferences, to forums, to participate not as a journalist, but also to be active in politics, basically. And I'm just being very honest with you. I would feel hypocritical to participate in such forums because for 14 years I pushed against the Balkanization of Syria. Now I'm not going to be part of any political process or body or facilitate anything that could lead into the Balkanization of Syria. But listen to me carefully. I'm not going to stand against the people's wishes if they want to be separated from the Jolani regime. I'm not going to come and object it. I'm not going to try to foil it. I'm not going to come and tell them what you're doing is incorrect, because I'm not in their shoes. I live here. I'm relatively safer place. There is no gun over my head, and my family is now in safety. And yes, I have friends and other relatives, they are in danger, and I'm talking to them, and everybody says, we cannot live with these savages. I understand them. So if they want that, that's their choice. That's self-determination if they want that. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to be someone who participates in a political process or leads this process, which will lead eventually into the Balkanization of Syria. That's all. What is going to happen next, in my opinion, is increased Israeli intervention. And I'm worried that in the future, Damascus, if Jolani continues on this path and the Druze receive enormous support from Israel, I don't know if they will, but if I'm saying, then Jolani should really be worried about even Damascus. Look, this confrontation now, if Jolani continues unleashing his terror army against the Kurds, against the Druze, against the Alawites, there will be intervention, outside intervention in the country. Because the Druze have leverage in Israel. The Kurds have leverage in Israel and in the United States. The Alawites have no one in their back. But they are increasingly building ties with the Kurds and the Druze. Now, the Druze, the Kurds, and the Alawites can form a coalition against Jolani, but they cannot remove him from power unless there is outside intervention. So my hope is that the Sunnis in Syria, especially the ones in Aleppo and in Damascus, those who are against Jolani, believe me guys, Jolani is not a popular figure as you think he is. Only the brainless, radical, takfiri, salafist, ignorance, thugs, uneducated, uncultured, complete savages, only those support Jolani. The rest are horrified, including the Sunnis. So if a political movement happens in the country to try to encircle the Jolani regime, I think the ones who will change the equation in favor or against Jolani, in this case, in favor of all the components of the Syrian society against these Takfiri terrorists, are going to be the Sunnis. So they're the ones who have the grip over the economy. The industries are in Aleppo. The businesses are in Damascus. If there is a serious move to oust Jolani, the Sunnis who object Jolani, I don't know what's the percentage, they are going to be the ones who change the equation alongside the other ethnic and religious minorities. Just last word. Up until this moment, we have isolated incidents and attacks against Christians in Syria. There is no organized persecution against them or killing. There were some Christians in Latakia, Tartus, Jable who were killed during this discourse of the massacres against the Alawites, but there is no state policy against the Christians yet. But rest assured, if Jolani succeeds to subjugate the Alawites, the Druze, and the Kurds, which is impossible in my opinion, I'm just saying if for an argument's sake, then the Christians are going to be next. So, if you are Syrian and listening to this, you know my position now, and you know also what to do about it. And if you are non-Syrian and you care about the Syrian people, if you're in Germany, if you're in France, if you're in Denmark, Sweden, the US, etc., etc., those who are still sending money to the Jolani regime, you also know what to do. You have a representative, you have a member of parliament, you have officials, you know their phone calls, you know their emails. You can also send this video to them if you want to. Anyways, I will see you on Friday, guys, at 5 p.m. Central European Time, 11 a.m. Eastern American Time with Tarek, Cyril, Amar for our weekly podcast about global geopolitics. Peace be upon you, upon your families, and peace for the Syrians. Salam.